Big blockbuster news yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, if you listen to my radio show, Devin Nunes, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, and by the way, a fairly moderate Republican, he went to a microphone and he announced that information was provided to him. Several intelligence reports. And these intelligence reports were remarkable for what they contained. Well, let's listen briefly to what he had to say and how he explained it. Go ahead.
At our open hearing on Monday, I encouraged anyone who has information about relative topics, including surveillance on President-elect Trump or his transition team, to come forward and speak to the House Intelligence Committee. I also said that while there was not a physical wiretap of Trump Tower, I was concerned that other surveillance activities were used against President Trump and his associates. So first, I recently confirmed that on numerous occasions, the intelligence community incidentally collected information about U.S. citizens involved in the Trump transition.
Stop. Big story, right? That in and of itself. That U.S. intelligence collected a significant amount of information of people on the Trump transition. Big story, right? Go ahead.
Details about U.S. persons associated with the incoming administration, details with little or no apparent foreign intelligence value.
Stop. So information with little or no intelligence value of individuals on the transition team in intelligence reports. That's important. Go ahead.
Disseminated in intelligence
Stop.
community reports.
What he said there is broadly disseminated. Element 3. Broadly disseminated. Okay? Information on individuals on the transition team of President Trump of no intelligence value, broadly disseminated. 3 strikes, but there's more. Go ahead.
Third, I have confirmed that additional names of Trump transition team members were unmasked.
Okay, stop. So it wasn't like U.S. Citizen 1 or Person 1 or Group 1. Their names, their identities were presented in the report. Strike 4. Go ahead.
Finally, I want to be clear, none of this surveillance was related to Russia or the investigation of Russian activities or of the Trump team.
Stop. Strike 5. Having nothing to do with the Russia investigation. Well, why would they be collecting information on individuals in the transition team that has no intelligence value whatsoever? Reveal their names and spread that information to other departments and agencies that receive these reports, apparently on several reports. Now, if this information is gathered as a result of electronic eavesdropping or some other way with a foreign target, what's supposed to happen is, under circumstances like this, that information about an American citizen is supposed to be immediately purged. It's supposed to be scrubbed. They're not even supposed to show up in any report, even alluding to them as citizen A or B. It's supposed to be eliminated. They're not a target. There's no criminality. There's no information being provided that's harmful in terms of foreign policy, national security, or so forth. They're American citizens. Even in this case, they're on the transition team of an incoming president of the United States, and it certainly isn't supposed to be circulated. So somebody has committed multiple felonies, or some people have committed multiple felonies just by doing that. Just by doing that. At least that's my understanding. Go ahead.
The House Intelligence Committee will thoroughly investigate surveillance and its subsequent dissemination to determine a few things here that I want to read off. Who was aware of it? Why it was not disclosed to Congress? Who requested and authorized the additional unmasking? Whether anyone directed the intelligence community to focus on Trump associates, and whether any laws, regulations, or procedures were violated. I've asked the directors of FBI, NSA, and CIA to expeditiously comply with my March 15th letter that you all received a couple weeks ago, and to provide a full account of these surveillance activities. I informed Speaker Ryan this morning of this new information, and I will be going to the White House this afternoon to share what I know with the President and his team.
So let's make a few things very, very clear here. That means that the Trump transition team, and maybe Trump himself, were surveilled. A legal surveillance system, in other words, incidental intelligence gathering, they call it, but they were surveilled. And what's illegal and inappropriate about this is, okay, you incidentally pick up this information, then you're supposed to affirmatively get rid of it. But they didn't. It was recorded, it was obviously transcribed, it was put into these reports, and it was distributed. And the names were unmasked, that is, revealed, of American citizens through our intelligence services. Now, I assume they had a FISA warrant, so the FISA court issue comes up again. So this is a big deal, having nothing to do with Russia, having nothing to do with Russia. So even under those circumstances, I would raise questions. But it has nothing to do with Russia, then it has nothing to do with anything. There was absolutely no reason for this, none. Somebody came forward. It must have been somebody who works for one of these intelligence departments or agencies, or maybe even the FBI, but whatever. Somebody came forward and presented the chairman with the information. And apparently it wasn't one report, it was numerous reports. This is a big deal. And the questions he laid out need to be answered. They need to be answered. When I started all this 3 weeks ago today, we wouldn't even be here. But for a radio show I did 3 weeks ago today, after Jeff Sessions was under the gun for having met with the Russian ambassador, I said, enough is enough. I turned to my radio producer 10 minutes before airtime and I said, watch this. And I pulled together the articles that the media had put out there about the investigations in Russia and Trump and all the insinuations and suggestions and the sellout and the buyout and all the rest of it. And I said, if this is true, a prior administration or a sitting administration, a Democrat administration investigating an incoming administration, first investigating the opposition candidate for president, then an incoming administration, and these selective leaks, it's the Obama administration. We can parse and say the NSA, Justice, FBI. It's the Obama administration. The president is in charge. If he doesn't know anything, so be it. But he should have known something. Somebody in senior ranks should have known something. And somebody in senior ranks clearly did know something. Many people did, because they spread the information around. We know that from the New York Times, too. Here we have something even different, unrelated to Russia. Unrelated to Russia. Something else going on here. What's required now, ladies and gentlemen, is an investigation of the Obama administration and how the Obama administration used our intelligence services and our law enforcement bureaus during the course of this election, after the election, and up to the time our new president was sworn in. These are the issues that need to be addressed as far as I'm concerned. That is, what were our intelligence departments and agencies doing? What were our major law enforcement agencies doing at the federal level during the course of this campaign and into this election, general election, and then up to the point of President Trump's inauguration? There are many, many questions here now that need to be answered. Many. There's a cloud hanging over the Obama administration. They keep talking about a gray cloud over the Trump administration. So be it. But there's a dark gray cloud hanging over the Obama administration. Now, I know CNN and ABC and NBC and MSNBC, I know CBS, the Washington Post, the New York Times, none of them care. You're not allowed to mention Obama administration. Well, I'll keep mentioning Obama administration. The question is whether these agencies were abused and politicized. Again, the New York Times did indicate. They did indicate. You know, I'm relying on the New York Times. It's funny, the lib media just kind of ignores it today. But the New York Times indicated that some intelligence information was shared with White House officials. The New York Times indicated that some of that information was spread to other departments and agencies because they feared it would be destroyed, which is absurd. How would it be destroyed when, in fact, the White House is getting it from those departments and agencies? The New York Times also reported that the NSA had loosened its requirements and its privacy rules when it comes to spreading this kind of information around to other intelligence and law enforcement agencies, to 16 others. And they made that decision 17 days before they left office. Why? These are important questions, and until they're answered, a dark gray cloud hangs over the Obama administration. Now, Manu Raju is a reporter for CNN. It's amazing. He was actually doing a report for CNN, the front end of which was quite revealing. Let's check this out. Go.
I've just spoken to some members on the committee who are aware of exactly what are in those reports, and what they are saying is that Trump transition officials were talking about President-elect Trump at that time, President-elect Trump, his plans for the new administration.
Stop.
And those
The intelligence agency or agencies are picking up information about discussions within the Trump transition team about plans for the Trump administration? And that's in intelligence reports? That's political surveillance, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Mark, it's legal. The surveillance initially is legal, but what was done with it is not legal. Go ahead.
were disseminated widely within the intelligence community.
So the
the
information about what they were discussing for the incoming Trump administration and the transition team was disseminated widely. Why? Go ahead.
Were about President Trump's family, discussions that Chairman Nunes believes should not have been disclosed.
Some of the discussions are about Trump's family. Yes, I'm underscoring and putting an exclamation mark behind it. Is that not incredible to you? Some of the discussions were about Trump and his family, and they're in intelligence reports? Go ahead.
Widely within the intelligence community. Of course, some of these communications also appearing in the press, including over Michael Flynn's discussions with the ambassador.
Some of it leaked. All right, that's enough. That's enough. Now, let me ask you a question that they don't ask here and nobody's asked since. The president gets a daily intelligence briefing. I've said this before. I said this 3 weeks ago, didn't I? Is somebody going to look at his daily intelligence briefings? Is somebody going to find out if the National Security Council was briefed on any of this and had access to any of this? The National Security Council, unlike the National Security Agency, the NSC is housed in the White House and in the old executive office building, in part. The director of the NSC, Susan Rice, reports directly to the President of the United States. And we know how good she is when it comes to telling the truth. If you're investigating this stuff, this is where you start. Oh, I know the media do not want to hear this. I don't care what the media want to hear. You know, this also exposes the media for their tawdry conduct, for their ideological partisanship. It truly does. As a matter of fact, I heard Jay Tapper on our local affiliate station here, WMAL, being interviewed this morning. The guy, if he's not Praetorian Guard #1 for the Democrats and for the Obama administration, then there is no Praetorian Guard in the media for the Obama administration, and we know they are. It was absolutely appalling the way he made hash out of what Mr. Nunes had to say. Now, let's take a listen to Peter King, Republican from New York. He was interviewed, and some of what he had to say about what he knows to be in these intelligence reports. Go.
This was surveillance of foreign individuals talking to one another in a number of occasions. And there were references in there about conversations they may have had with Donald Trump, the president.